My name is Ebony Harris.
And I'm Elisa Bokeen. And we are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch.
We did it at the same time that time. I followed your lead. I don't know how, but I got it that time. So, yes. Thank y'all for joining us for the last week. This will be the final live of the month, not of our careers, but of the month.
If it were up to Ebony.
Right. We would, until next year. We'll see y'all next July. No, I'm just playing. But no, this will be the final live for BIPOC Mental Health Month. And so we want to continue to talk about healing, mental health, specifically like understanding that, as much as we push therapy and as much as we want everyone to go to therapy, we understand that it can sometimes not be accessible, right? But we do want to talk about like how important it is to heal and what it looks like to be healed and why it is so dope and why we really want to encourage people to do the work and whatever capacity that means to start their healing journey.
That's right. That is right. So you want to take it away? Or you want me to take it away? Let's dive in. And of course, if you have comments, if you have questions, please submit your questions. Use that little question icon. We love when you all participate in these conversations because that's why we do it. We do it for y'all, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the first reasons that I believe healing is dope is because you are many times breaking family patterns, right? Mm-hmm. Like many times the things that we suffer with or the things that we suffer from are something that's been passed down generation after generation after generation. And that's just because, you only know what you know. And so when you commit to a life, a whole life, although I will say it's a lifetime of healing, I feel like a lifetime of growth. But when you commit to healing, when you commit to really confronting the things that are limiting your life, that are limiting your relationships, that are just making you feel bad, right? A lot of the times that is stuff that you somehow learned really early on in your life and or is a result of some of the stuff that was going on really early on in your life from, our caretakers and their unhealed trauma and wounds. So I think the idea that you can kind of change the trajectory of your family, of future generations, that's dope.
Yeah, no, truly. I think it's extremely important that you recognize how you working on your healing resonates. I don't think that's the word. What's the word? Ripples. Maybe that's the word. Like it goes from you to, yes, younger generations, but even to older generations, even to people within your generations. Like as you heal, as you work on your stuff, it sometimes becomes uncomfortable for the people around you because it starts to confront like, oh, wait, maybe the way we've been dealing with this isn't okay or isn't healthy. But then oftentimes people get curious when they start to see you thrive, when they start to see that you are breaking these patterns, and then that helps them decide maybe they want to go talk to someone. I've had so many clients that I've talked to and they're like, yeah, my mom's going to therapy now. I didn't even know. I had been telling her about my therapist and then randomly she told me she was in therapy, and that was something that would have never happened, And so recognizing that we're not just breaking the generational curses for ourselves, but it's truly for your family. It's for the health of your family going both ways.
Which, positively impacts you.
Yeah.
And you're right. I love that when I hear clients share folks that are, elders, right? That they have even more stigma sometimes around therapy. Definitely. And what therapy is. And so that really is so inspiring to me. And you're right. The ripple effect that has for so many people around you I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think going with that, what I thought of first was that healing allows you to show up authentically, because when we are living from an unhealed space, or when we're living in a life that is, where you have trauma and you haven't really dealt with it, a lot of times our behaviors or decisions are made out of fear, or they're made, from anxiety. And so when you are healed and when you have really worked on your stuff, then you can kind of live in a space of like, this feels right for me and I'm just going to go with that. And I'm not going to let fear stop me from doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not going to let fear stop me from showing up for myself in a way that's healthy and showing up in a way that feels authentic, and I don't have to second guess it, right? And I feel like a lot of times, so much of what we do is us in our heads and us second guessing, us overthinking. And when you are coming from a healed space, you just kind of know, like, nope, this is the right decision. This is what's right for
Yeah.
me. And I can't control, or I can't focus on, okay, is it right for me and everybody around me? Like, you can't, you know that you can't control that, right? And so you really are able to be authentic and like, this is who I am. This is how I can show up. This is how I show up for the people I care about. This is how I show up for work, like all of that. And I think just being able to live more authentically is, I think, the goal for most people, where we don't have to always be in our head and overthinking and our fears and concerns or running a show and things like that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort to keep up an image. It takes a lot of effort to keep that mask on. And
Yeah.
I think your answer kind of goes into one of the ones that I had, which was you start to have more peace in your life, right? I think you start to have more peace, not just like in the sense of more peaceful relationships, or you're more at peace with your decisions. But I think the other thing that healing offers us is that there are certain things in life that are just givens, like certain things that are just gonna happen,
Right.
and that is part of the human experience, and it's part of having a full human experience. And I think a lot of the time, some of those things are things that we label as bad. And that's not to say that they're not tragic. That's not to say that they are not sad or what have you. But I think a lot of the times when we're going through some sort of crises, or, we lose somebody or something tragic happens, life kicks us in the ass. And
Right. Right.
everybody in the ass, right?
Yeah.
We take it very personal, right? Take it very personal. We might even go into like, what did I do wrong? Sometimes there's things for us to reflect on. How did we contribute to something? And sometimes this is just life, right? Like, we are vulnerable. And I think there's a certain peace that comes with that understanding that life is going to have those moments also. And what healing offers us are the skills, are the like how to navigate that. Not that it's not going to happen. You realize it's not that I'm going to be exempt from life's challenges. I just feel more equipped, and I also feel a certain sense of acceptance, right? Like a sense of acceptance, because I think peace and acceptance go hand in hand. Doesn't mean I have to like it,
Right.
but it is, right? I don't necessarily like the winter, but I know it's coming.
It's gonna be here regardless. So yeah,
Get
so I
my
need to make
blankets
sure I have some cute
out.
clothes so I can feel good.
My sweaters are gonna be on,
Right.
and I'll get through it. I know it's gonna end. So I think that's the other thing. There's a certain peace that you start to develop across the board in your life.
That's good, because then that, again, because we always on the same page, it goes into what I was thinking as far as like it empowers us, and similar, because we have accepted what we can and can't control, right? Like, I recognize that there are certain things in life that I have no control over. I can't decide who lives and who dies. I can't decide if my job decides they want to let me go today, right? I can't decide if my partner acts a certain way or my friends act a certain way. Like, there are things that you just cannot control, but there's so much that you can as well, right, within your life. And so it really empowers you. And like, once you figure out, this is what I have control over, this is what is important to me, then it helps you in making those decisions, and it helps you recognize, like, if I just focus on the things that I do have control over, if I could just focus on the things that that I can influence, or whatever the case may be, like that if I can focus on what I control and I know that I have the skills to deal with it, then you feel more empowered. Like, I
Right.
know you've probably heard plenty of people say, like, everything you need, you have already, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, no, I need more money. That's not true. But that's
Right.
not what it's referring to per se. It's more of, you have the knowledge, you have the ability, you have the tools. Even if you don't have the knowledge, you have the tools to learn, right? Even if you don't have the ability, you have the tools to learn. You know what to do to take on new skills. You know what to do to get to the next place that you want to be in life. And going through this process just hones those skills and those tools, and it brings it to the forefront, so that if you do encounter something, again, either this is something that I can control or not. That's the first step. And if it is something I can control, now I know what I can do about it. And I trust in myself, and I recognize that I know and I have what I need to get through these situations, to get through whatever obstacles may come. And so it really is about, like, how do we empower ourselves, or how do you feel more empowered once you recognize the abilities that you do have?
Yeah. I really hear, like, what I really hear you saying is there's a confidence, right, that you begin to have. And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of the times we want to feel confident about certain things before we do them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
once I feel the courage, or once I feel the confidence to
Right.
do the thing, and that's usually not how it works. Usually how it works is you go through the thing, you feel awkward going through the thing, you feel like you sucking at that thing,
Right. Right.
but you get through it and you're like,
Right.
I got through that, right? And I think that's what healing offers us, is when we say, I confronted that.
Right.
Because time doesn't heal.
Mm-hmm.
Time alone, time
Does
by itself, time alone does nothing. It's what we do within that time. And
right.
when we are able to feel everything that we are feeling, acknowledge it, name it, move through it, process it, make sense of it, learn from it, there's a certain wisdom and a certain confidence that comes from that.
Right.
That moving forward, again, like, life will challenge you. You're like, I've been through some shit. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's why
Been there, done
elders,
that.
so many elders, they're just like, unbothered.
You're all up in arms about stuff, and they're like, I've been through so
Yeah.
much stuff. It's not even that serious.
Right?
Yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah.
you know what? It's gonna come. It's gonna pass. And we,
Yeah.
but that comes from doing a lot. I think a lot of times the work, right? Because we can go through things and then they just pile up and they pile up, and we don't necessarily ever look at it and address it,
Right.
right? I think
Right.
a lot of times, sometimes we mistake peace with avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. I'm good. Are you? Are you
Right.
good with it? Because
Right.
you can tell is when you actually talk about it, or you can bring it up, and you're not activated, versus I'm disassociated from it, or I'm good, I just don't deal with it. So
Mm-hmm. And I think what you said around, like, the thought, sometimes we feel as though, in order for us to feel empowered or whatever, we go into it thinking we should already be there, right?
right.
Versus understanding the process that you have to do to get there. Like, when we talk about confidence, like, sure, it would be great if you go to a dance class for the first time and you just knew that you were going to kill it. But the reality is, you're probably like, I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know if my legs will do what they're supposed to do, my arms, whatever. But after you've done it a few times, then you gain the confidence because you've went through it and now you know more about it. And so we have to recognize that you can't, it's not a, I'll heal once I feel better. Like, that's not,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we often think, like, once we get to this space, then I'll do the thing. And it's like, no, you have to go through it first. And so
Right.
you have to go through the process to gain that confidence, to feel empowered, to feel like, oh, okay, now I recognize I can handle any situation. Not I can handle any situation, so let me go now and try to heal. Like,
Yeah,
that's not how it works.
yeah. Yeah, I like that you said that, right? It's like, well, I don't have time to heal. I don't have time to address
I
it.
just need to get to
Now,
the
what
end.
you don't realize, if you did address it, you would have more bandwidth. You would
Yep.
have more availability.
Yep.
You would have more of that time, but you're so busy trying to jam pack your
Yep.
life with stuff to avoid it, which is just causing you more stress. So anyways, I digress. So next thing saying why healing is dope is because you start to have more life satisfaction, right? Like you start to feel more satisfaction with your life. And I think that is because so much of what we've already been talking about, the confidence that comes with that. There's a discernment that comes with healing also. When I take the time to really look and reflect on something, to process it, to see what was my role in this, right? Like, and not in a way that is punitive, not in a way that is self-deprecating, not in a way that we're shaming ourselves, but where we can take a step back and say, well, how did I contribute to how things went? Or, you know, how did I respond to this challenge in my life? Did it bring out the worst in me? If so, why? You know, like, now the flip side to how healing is dope, because we get self-awareness, and that is dope, is that then you're really self-aware.
Right.
Sometimes that in and of itself is a challenge, but my personal belief is to have a really full life, one that I can look back and say, I'm satisfied with the life that I had. It has to be a full life. And I recognize that because we have a range of emotions, we were born with the ability to experience them, you know. Then we're supposed to have them. We're supposed to have them. And so I do think that healing allows, it creates more space in your life, energetically, in your relationships, bandwidth wise, to just say, okay, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with the life that I'm living.
And you know what, when you were talking, I just kept thinking how going through the process, when you are becoming more self-aware, it becomes difficult because, not difficult, but it becomes a little frustrating because as you become more self-aware, you understand more about how you got here and, oh, I act like this or I do this because of this in my past, and oh, this behavior is just a way to protect myself or whatever the case may be. It becomes harder to be so upset at other people as well, right? Because once you start to recognize, oh, this is why I'm here, then you also, it's kind of hard to do that process and not recognize other people are going through the same things, right? Other people may respond, oh, that has nothing to do with me. That's because of their own stuff, right? So it's helpful because it takes some of that accountability off of you as well, as far as like other people's behaviors and how they act. But then I think about sometimes when you just want to be mad at somebody, but then you're like, I mean, I don't like the fact that they acted like that, but I also understand they do that because X, Y, Z. So it kind of, you know, you're always kind of looking at it in from a deeper lens, as opposed to just the surface behavior and just being like, oh, I'm mad at that behavior and that's it. So I can see how frustrating that could be sometimes.
If you're going to give yourself grace, then you have to also, you kind of present the challenge to give others grace also. So the last one for me would be that it improves your relationships. Right? Like, so as humans, we are wired for connection. I believe that the quality of our lives is also reflective of the quality of our relationships. And so as you begin to heal, you have better interpersonal skills. You show up more, like you said earlier, more fully as yourself, confident in yourself. And it feels good to be around people who've done their work. It feels good. It feels good to be around people who are settled and centered and grounded. Like, it just feels good. So our relationships get better also.
100%. Once you have gotten to a certain space, you stop expecting so much from other people, I think, as well. Right? Once you've learned, again, I have everything I need and I don't have to necessarily depend on this person. It's nice. And you can still have some expectations. That's not saying you don't have any, but sometimes we expect others to heal us. And once you start to recognize that that is solely your job, and especially once you've went through that process, that no longer becomes the case. I expect you to be my partner. I expect you to be my friend. I expect you to, support me and show up for me in the same way I'm going to support and show up for you. But I don't expect you to fix my childhood wounds. And I think oftentimes that's how we go into relationships, is with that. Not consciously, but that's really what we're asking for, right?
So there's a freedom in that.
Say it again.
there's a freedom in that, right? Like
Right.
of having those expectations, of recognizing what's my stuff, right? Because that's the only stuff we can actually do something about.
Right. And to be able to really look at this person fully and not just what they can do for you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I'm choosing someone and seeing them as a whole person, not just kind of pulling out these parts that serve me or that will make me feel better or whatever
Yeah.
it is. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Relationships definitely are better once you're healed, and who you are attracted to shifts, right? And
Yeah.
what you're attracted to shifts completely. Like, what, you might have thought, oh, this is just my type, and then you realize, oh no, that was my wounded parts type. That's not my type. That's not who I want, right? So yeah, I also, and so with that one, and it also kind of goes back with what you said, I always think of like when you are healing, because I know we keep saying when you're healed, and we understand it's a journey and it takes time, but when you are healing, it allows you to thrive where most of us are typically used to just surviving, right? We're just trying to
Yeah.
make it through. We're just trying to make it through the day. We're just trying to make it through our lives. We're just trying to like, and really getting to a space of like, no, like I am living, right? I am thriving. I am choosing what my life looks like. I am choosing the type of life I want to have versus feeling, which a lot of us do, is just like, we're just making it, we're just kind of going
Yeah.
through the motions. And
Yeah.
so really tapping into like, who you are, the authenticity,
Yep.
making your life better and enjoyment, all of that means that you do get to thrive and you get to grow and you get to have better and you get to like attract all of these good things in your life and around you, where it doesn't just feel like you're just trying to make it.
Right. Because you're showing up fully again.
Exactly.
You're showing up fully for your life. So
Yeah.
there you have it, folks. I mean, if that doesn't convince you that healing is dope, I don't know what will. And it does require work.
Yeah.
And of course, we are proponents of therapy, but we also recognize that therapy is not the only path to healing. And we also recognize that therapy is not accessible to everyone. Limited resources or limited access to therapists from our communities, right? Limited access to therapists from Black and Brown communities. So we want to support you wherever you are at in your healing journey. Maybe you're just at the beginning where you're like thinking about maybe getting started. Maybe you are somewhere where you're like, nah, I got to do something about my life, but I don't know where. We want to make it a little bit easier for you because that is why we created Melanin Mental Health. We recognize that our communities are more vulnerable to suffering from mental health challenges because of the unique stressors that impact our communities. That is why we created the directory. That's why we put out the content. That's why we have the podcast. And so now we've created another resource for y'all, and we want you to be there. Yes. This Thursday, July 28th. Ebony, tell them a little bit about what we're going to be doing that day.
So we're doing a live webinar where we are going to be talking about healing. We're going to be talking about what does it look like to heal? What are the steps? And how do you get from thinking about starting a mental health journey to actually going on the journey? And so we're excited to present this because this is something that, we want to make sure that we are offering resources that are in real time, right? Resources that you can start to use right now. And so this is just going to be the start of us doing regular webinars where we are offering information to help you on your journey. So hopefully you can join us. You can click the link in the bio and that's how you sign up. Just name, email, simple sign up and you'll get a link to the live webinar tomorrow.
Yeah, so please join us. Like Ebony said, we're going to be sharing our signature framework, H.E.A.L. And the event is H.E.A.L with Melanin Mental Health. We hope you are there. Invite a friend, invite a loved one, and we will
completely free.
Yes, it is completely free, no strings attached. So show up, let's heal together because healing is dope.
Yes. So we will see y'all next time. Make sure you follow us across social media, Melanin Mental Health, everywhere except Twitter, Melanin Health, and follow us on, subscribe if you haven't to our podcast, Between Sessions, as well as head over to Melanin Mental Health to find a dope therapist. If you are a dope therapist, make sure you sign up for the directory, and you can find our dope merchandise as well as our previous podcasts.
All right. See y'all Thursday.
Bye.